back to another episode. And today's question is your mindset preventing you from buying a home? But first, you're at home with the Willises. So before we get started, I want to remind you, make sure you subscribe, hit the little button down there in the corner, and make sure you hit the bell so that you're notified every time we upload new content. All right, babe, are you ready?
I'm ready.
So this topic is a little bit more holistic. It's got more of a, yes.
Okay.
It's more of a holistic approach because I've found that as I continue to work with people and continue to work with clients, a lot of it has to do with their mindset of whether they're moving forward or whether they're not. Now, have you experienced that? Because
that's true.
Maybe it's just me.
It's true. That's true.
That's yeah.
I get where you're going with the whole holistic part now.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like since we have this platform, I feel like we need to talk about it.
Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so I did the research on the growth mindset versus fixed mindset. I feel like a lot of schools are doing that anyway. So I did that research about the growth mindset versus fixed mindset. And it kind of was pretty close to, I mean, you can apply it to anything. And it's particularly, you can apply it to buying a home.
So you're saying you're doing market studies now?
Whatever.
Okay.
I mean, but I had to look it up. I mean, I wanted to see, how it correlates. And so I got my little notes here. Okay, I'm gonna pick it up. All right, so a fixed mindset says failure is the limit of my abilities, whereas in a growth mindset says failure is an opportunity to grow. Okay, so fixed mindset says when I'm frustrated, and this is when I was like, okay, yeah, this is it. When I'm frustrated, I give up. Versus challenges help me to grow. So it's like the fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Now, how does that correlate to buying a home or when we're talking to clients or potential clients about buying a home? And one of the first things I think for me that comes to mind is if I'm talking to someone and I might mention that I'm a realtor and then they say, oh, I want to buy a home or I thought about buying a home, but there's no plan in place.
Right.
There's no plan of action. There's no, I want to buy a home by this time. Nothing. It's just kind of radio silence. And I think when we're talking about the growth mindset versus fixed mindset, that's one of the first things you can look at to see if you have like a fixed mindset towards purchasing a home or not purchasing a home or whatever. What do you think though?
So I think that a lot of times, your mindset about home ownership, period, a lot of times it comes from being a product of your environment. So if we really think about it, how did I get into real estate? I grew up in the real estate family, but had I not been around realtors and seeing people buy and sell houses and invest and things like that, maybe I wouldn't have become a homeowner at 22 or at all. So a lot of times our mindset comes from our environment. So if my mom didn't own a house and my grandmother didn't own a house, it becomes like a renter cycle. Or if your parents owned a house and you grew up in a home and had a backyard or a pool or something like that, you're kind of used to that lifestyle. Yeah. And so you just kind of automatically think, like subconsciously, like this is what I'm supposed to have and this is what I'm supposed to do now. Now, of course, people have aspirations of things that they didn't have growing up. Yeah. And that can be motivation too. But I think a lot of times the mindset of this is what I saw, and so I'm going to model what I saw as far as not buying a house. And then it could be the exact opposite mindset of you just automatically think you're supposed to buy a house one day because of your environment.
Yeah. I'm looking at my notes again, and it says, a fixed mindset says, I stick to what I know. And that's exactly what you were talking about, how, you might be a product of your environment where everybody in your house or everybody in your family or in your neighborhood rented versus a growth mindset, which could be, okay, yeah, that might be how you grew up. But the growth mindset is, I like to try new things.
Yeah.
or this time from my generation, I'm going to be the first person to purchase a home, right? Or purchase property. So I think it definitely is correlated. Now I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited because my research worked. But anyway, so another thing that I hear a lot is that someone is waiting on the right time. Now I feel like I have to speak to that because I tell people all the time, there is no right time.
Yeah. Well, there is now.
Exactly. Yeah. The right time is when you decide to do it, right? But there is no right time to do anything. And especially when you're looking at buying a home. And a home purchase is, for the most part, the most expensive purchase that you will probably ever make in your life. Mm-hmm. So it's big. There are a lot of moving parts to it. You are assuming a mortgage and all these responsibilities. And so you tend to want to say, okay, well, I'm going to wait on the right time when I am, maybe when I'm married, or maybe after we have children, or maybe, when my income reaches this point, or, so waiting for the right time. You just have to understand there's never a perfect time. Life is always going to happen. Mm-hmm. And as realtors, we're almost like cheerleaders a lot of the time, because I'm
not a cheerleader.
Well, I am. Well, if I'm on the phone with you, if I'm calling you, it's because I'm trying to keep you motivated, mm-hmm. because life is going to continue to happen. And you can easily say, now is just not the right time for me, when you're so close. And a lot of times people have no idea how close they really are. How fast 3 months can go by, how fast 6 months can go by, how fast 12 months can go by. You think that's a long time, and it's not. 12 months can go by like that, where you can have your credit fixed and you can have the down payment saved that you want, mm-hmm. And be ready to buy. But I think we have to get rid of the notion of, I have to wait for the perfect time. There's never going to be a perfect time, y'all. Yeah. You got to just make the decision to move.
Yeah, and as I think about it, I seldom hear people say, dang, I wish I didn't buy. Everybody says, I wish I would have bought back in this period or during this period, even if it's a recession or even if it's a bad time. Mm-hmm. Because if you wait long enough, real estate generally corrects itself.
It sure does.
So it's like, oh man, I'm so mad that I bought. You seldom hear that.
It's true.
Except for when we're in a recession and we're in a crash, and it's like it involves everybody, but eventually it's going to correct itself.
Just like the 2009 crash. Mm-hmm. It has corrected itself. And it's also not going to happen again, y'all. So stop waiting on that too. But the 2009 crash, it has corrected itself. Mm-hmm. If you bought back in those times where the houses were a fourth of what they were worth at the time, now if you've held on to that, it's worth far much more. Yeah. Far much more. So we have to get rid of that notion, waiting on the right time. Another one.
Well, not the right time, but the people wait on there's never going to be a perfect time.
You're right.
The right time is when you make a calculated decision.
Mm-hmm. And that's wise.
Yeah, that's wise to make a calculated decision, but it's never going to be the perfect time. You're never going to have everything lined up and everything in a row before you buy a house or attempt to buy a house.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, another thing that I have to address before we get off of this here internet is priorities. And I'm saying this because at the time we are recording this, Beyonce's internet then went off because she is going back to touring, and these tickets are astronomical. Mm-hmm. And I had made a post, it was a funny post, but kind of serious, about how people are making these large decisions to purchase tickets, go on trips, do all the things. And I'm not saying don't do that. Please don't, because we all need rest, we need relaxation, we want to have fun, all the things. But are you sabotaging yourself? Are you self-sabotaging, spending money on things that might bring you temporary, fun or joy, versus something that could build a legacy in the long run?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be something super huge like buying Beyonce tickets. It could be just
I love Beyonce.
you spend too much money on going out to eat every month. You know, if you think about...
I feel like you're in my business right now, but it's fine.
No, you could spend your money that you think that you can't afford or that you don't have for buying a house or a down payment, but when you break it into chunks of different things that you spend your money on, you actually probably do have the money necessary to buy a house or have a down payment. You just spend it on other things, and you think because you're not buying Beyonce tickets, you're spending the equivalent on Beyonce tickets on Starbucks, going out to eat, new shoes. I like shoes too, but when you have something that's a priority or a big goal,
a goal of yours,
you actually, if you break it down into bite-sized pieces, you can actually accomplish that goal. So that's mindset.
That's good.
I don't have a case study, but that's mindset.
That's good stuff. All right, enough talking about mindset. We just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention because I think it's really important. So we just wanted to take a few minutes out of your day and maybe ask a rhetorical question. What's your mindset looking like? What are your priorities? You know, are you living life based on, you know, being a product of your environment? Has your environment maybe motivated you to do something different? But if you notice that you have some fixed mindset ideas, maybe you might want to think about switching it over to a growth mindset to help you accomplish goals like buying a home or moving across the country or getting the career that you want. It doesn't have to be all about purchasing a home, but to accomplish those big goals and to reach those goals that you've maybe written on that vision board or had on your wall, it might be a good idea to change your mindset.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all. Well, thanks so much for joining us. We will see you next time. Before you go, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We want to see you next time. All right, y'all. Bye.